And ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Entomb Valley, and down to the bottom right-hand corner of it, we have our teal Protoss player, teamless at the moment, formerly of Slayers. He is Arthur, down 0-1 in the set to his opponent here in the top left-hand corner. Our blue Protoss player from Startail, Panic.
Entomb Valley is the map, a map that is not the easiest to be very aggressive on in PvP, specifically. It's not terribly difficult. One base aggression is a little bit tough, though. There's not a lot of places to do 4 gates or get your warp-ins into the main base. The ramp towards the front is extremely small. You can see the area that you're going to have to do any warp-ins is just so limited with pylons, as you are not really going to be able to construct them over here towards the right and get vision from your units on the ramp. We do, however, sometimes see players over towards this area of the map manage to get a pylon secured behind this Vespian Geyser and secure some warp-ins over here on the left. So that's the trickiest play I'd say we see on Entombed Valley, but overall, it is a map that caters towards standard play.
Yeah, definitely. And games here can go very long. We can have those long, protracted Colossus battles, largely due to the fact that the middle of the map is wide open. So if forces ever engage out there, it requires very good positioning. It's very, very micro-intensive. And more often than not, we get into a situation where one person plays the defender, the other player plays the attacker, and you have like a bunch of Colossi spread out here on the ramp as other ones try to make their way up. And sometimes you can get, it almost feels like Siege Tank Marine to me in a lot of circumstances. And the reason I say that is because late game TVT, one engagement can still throw things back in favor of your opponent, even if they're pretty far behind.
Yeah.
If you mess up or you walk into siege tanks, similar sort of situation. If someone has a bunch of Colossi up at the top and you kind of just waltz up the ramp, you can trade very inefficiently and give your opponent the advantage.
So Arthur is opened with two quick gases here. Panic, though, he had his gateway down faster. That allowed him to get a quicker cyber core as well. Notice the difference in timing there. And he is still sitting on just 1 gas. It's finally going to be going down behind this second gateway, but he's going to have a nice, large stalker count very, very early here. It's going to be safe against any early pressure that Arthur may have thrown at him, but honestly probably won't be doing with how fast his assimilators were.
Yeah, definitely true. Well, our first couple of stalkers are going to pop up here in a second, actually prioritizing that in the Chrono Boost before he gets Warp Gate. So obviously going down that 3 stalker route you were talking about before, but back on Panic's side, we'll see what he ends up moving into. He's got his double gateway coming up himself, but spending his Chrono Boost on Warp Gate. So an important difference there.
Yeah.
Not going into units, but going into Warp Gate.
That he is. We will likely be seeing some follow-up gateways here in a little bit, but he has got the second assimilator operating now. That's going to allow him to bring in quite an amount of gas. He has cut probes, though. Once again, so this is looking more and more like we have some sort of an aggressive build out of Panic. We'll be waiting to see if he throws down a tech structure here or not.
Oh no! And unfortunately, Panic had gotten down there to check for any probes and stuff like that, and I think it popped up. And I don't know if he saw it and decided to get away, as if to convince him to try and put down a pylon, bait him into doing that. But if he didn't see that probe, that would be a disaster.
Yeah, we'll have to see with a follow-up here. We do have Arthur going for a Stargate, though. So not something, it's no 4-gate in the middle of Panic's base or anything is so quite so terrible. But 2 sentries on the way right now for Panic. He'll be pumping those out. No additional gateways. We may actually just have a Nexus here. It could be thrown down for Panic if he's feeling confident enough.
And that's... this is going to be very, very dicey, though. Arthur could take advantage of that. 3 gates with a Stargate before an expansion or anything along those lines, that's a very aggressive play. This eats up all of your possible resources, makes it impossible to expand, unless, of course, you just cut production cycles, in which case you're not utilizing the 3 gateways anyway, so you have to have a purpose for them. We'll see what Arthur's
Kevin, you actually, you couldn't be more right about that. With how late this Stargate was, this is more than likely Phoenix that are going to be utilized to lift up sentries and not so much be a harassing unit, but allow Arthur's aggressive force to be able to penetrate into Panic's base.
I definitely agree with that. And as we can see, it looks like this probe was killed off by the Stalker here. It does have a kill registered to it, and I don't see that probe anywhere else. So Arthur not going to be able to get that crafty warp in inside of his opponent's base. He's going to have to rely on a little bit more frontline pressure.
Well, his gateways are completed, warp gate technology rather. He's getting ready to move out here. But it looks like it's going to be a Nexus, actually.
Yeah. So this is what I said before. You have to cut. You have to cut production cycles, and so he either put those up because he was feeling a little bit. He was feeling in some danger. He felt like his opponent may try to put on some pressure, and maybe he changed his mind when he got that probe killed off and he ducked in and he saw that there wasn't all that much here. But now Panic, on the other hand, has his robotics facility already going to town, 3 gateways up, and not a lot of resources himself.
Yeah, he does have a lot of gas, though, quite a bit, actually. So we'll see what he opts to do with that, making more and more sentries right now. Phoenix are going to be swinging in, and, we were talking earlier about how they would target the sentries, but with the lack of aggression that we're going to be seeing out of Arthur, he's going to go for some probes, lifting 1, lifting 2. He'll be able to pick up another one here, I believe, and that might be it.
But now he's got another Phoenix coming in, and these Stalkers are really out of position. They were sitting in the middle of the map, so... Oh, and he actually does grab 1 sentry.
Why not? They're more
really
expensive than
bad.
probes.
Yeah, 3 times as expensive.
And they definitely account for a lot of probe mining time, so we'll have to see what Arthur opts to do here. His Nexus is nearing completion. Will we see any extra production structures? He's got a pylon on the way, but no additional gateways or tech at this time.
All right. Well, another... or actually there, we finally have a reset on the Graviton Beam, is what I meant to say in English, if I could get the words out of my mouth.
You just got to grab them sometimes.
And he could be, yeah, sometimes, man. Sometimes it's a real struggle, let me tell you. When
They
you're
fight
talking for like 4 hours a day, every day, that's a thing.
That's the thing.
That's a thing. All right, 4 Phoenixes now, and he will actually be able to shoot down Stalkers pretty quickly. Not in this number. I mean, 6 is too much to deal with inside of the mineral line, but if he would catch them isolated or trying to spread themselves really thin, he could easily pick them up and pick them off one by one.
Here's the thing that we're seeing here that is very different, though, than the Phoenix play that we did witness earlier today in our matches, is in this circumstance, Panic has actually already got Blink on the way, so he's not going to be sitting here harassed and be forced to make tons and tons of Stalkers against these Phoenix, though he is going to lose 1 right now.
Yep.
And maybe a second as well. We'll see if he goes for the lift. Yep.
This is what I was talking about. If you catch just a couple of Stalkers isolated, then all of a sudden they're in a really bad position.
Like, I'm struggling to see. I mean, Panic sends another 2 Stalkers down right there, but he is going to have to replace these Stalkers for the moment. He's continuing to lose them, actually.
There's been a huge amount of damage that's been suffered in this game. Look at that resources lost, 1225 to 100. And yes, I know you sacrifice a lot of your ground army oomph whenever you decide to go for Phoenixes and things like that, but still, the amount of damage he's done has more than justified that, and he has a lot of good utility in the latter parts of his army.
Basically, it has come now to the point where these Phoenix are essentially free for Arthur, and he has units on the field that his opponent now does not. Going to be able to utilize those Phoenix in a number of ways throughout the course of this game.
Really surprised about this. I mean, I know Panic is down in workers overall, but he's choosing to push across the map. When you go for this Phoenix build, you build really defensively back at home, and we see multiple Immortals, multiple Sentries, just really the perfect force for bunkering up.
All right, well, there are Phoenix going to scout all of this. There are now 3 Immortals, so this attack will... Well, there is an Immortal with Panic's army, so maybe he'll be able to make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the engagement he got initially. 1 Stalker got insta-gibbed. Unfortunately, he didn't want to spend a 3rd force field, but he could have actually trapped about 3 or 4 Stalkers there.
Well, the Stalkers at this point do have Blink. We can see them actually blinking back to the back of the army, but it's not going to matter, man. These Phoenix are now going to be able to pick up any retreating forces, and I think Arthur is just going to have the potential to win the game right here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's it. GG. Panic goes down. Arthur takes game number 2. It's best of 3. And we're going to go to our first... it's our first match of the entire day that wasn't completely one-sided.
Yeah, we actually... if we want to say it this way, we're having a player who has won now face against a player who has also won.
Yes.
It's not... That can't happen in team leagues.
No. Damn. It's okay. But that's all right because we do
the winning
have
player is
1-1.
lost, basically. That's the important thing here.
The next game will decide who moves into the finals to play Star Tale 0
Yep.
and match up in that PVZ. So I guess I'm ready to go. The map is Daybreak. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's game number 3.